The SpaceX IPO is going to be significant for different reasons, but not least of which is index providers are bending over backwards to find ways to fast track the inclusion of SpaceX into their indices. You've seen that with NASDAQ, you've seen that with Russell. S&P is at the moment also evaluating whether to lower the bar to bring SpaceX into the index sooner rather than later. And from an index provider standpoint, it makes sense because they know that SpaceX is a company that retail investors and investors more generally are super interested in, and they don't want their index to feel obsolete or irrelevant if it's missing what is going to be, upon IPO, one of the largest companies in the public markets. But at the same time, it creates this unnatural demand in the market, because this goes back to something that professional investors have been talking about for a while, which is how the rise and prevalence of passive investing and indexing and passive ETF that index have distorted public markets to some extent. In the case of SpaceX, the inclusion of this company shortly after IPO into all of these indices is going to create this enormous forced buying from all of the index ETFs. So all of the funds that track these indices are going to be required to buy SpaceX, and that's going to provide this unnatural demand for this recently listed stock, which is fantastic for anybody who owns the shares of SpaceX and has owned it in the private markets for some time, because that forced buying is going to set some sort of floor for what the price will be post-IPO, but then obviously less great for perhaps the public market participants as a consequence of that. We're almost certainly going to see it applied to OpenAI and Anthropic when they go public as well, because these are going to be such massive new publicly listed companies